Monster Hunter Stories 2 came out in 2021. It is currently available on PSN Extra. No PS5 version, unfortunately. I am, as you may well know, a massive Monster Hunter fan. Right back to the original game. Stories is a turn-based JRPG, and for me, it feels a lot like Ni no Kuni 1, which is a hell of a compliment. I am Couch Coop. Have I played any of the original Monster Hunter Stories game? No is the answer. And the reason for that is I'm such a huge fan of that third-person ARPG action that moving over to a turn-based format wasn't an attractive idea for me. But Stories 1 did very well. The feedback was extremely healthy. So I thought looking at 2, particularly because it's on Extra, was a good opportunity. And I was not disappointed. I did also think the Stories franchise was aimed at a slightly more casual audience. The visuals seem softer, more appealing to a larger age group, just making the whole franchise a bit more accessible. That is certainly the case in areas, but this game also has a deep JRPG meta embedded into it, one of the more stronger turn-based video games I've played in a while, and the fact that it marries up with all of that cool lore and monsters, weapons and armor with the series, I was like an absolute duck to water with it. Loved the intro, understood everything that was going on, and the idea of having interchangeable weapons, armor, monsters, even partners in your party was again attractive. The Monster Hunter series does have one of the greatest cosmetic upgrade and armor grinds ever to be put in a video game. The circle you go through with defeating new monsters, getting new gear, and looking like the stuff you're defeating is very addictive. They have massively amped the indigenous life. If you know the series, you'll realise that that fly is a one hit. Most of the stuff running around that isn't a big arena fight, Monster Hunter is kind of very easy to kill. Almost all of your encounters will be relatively formidable, even if it's a smaller fly or just some lesser Ludroth. Your ass can still be kicked. I do like those sort of semi-QTE head-to-head screens. They remind me a little bit of Advance Wars over on the DS. I'm going back a bit there. And they change out depending on what monster you've got within your party. And you can also switch your monsters out mid-fight and weapon. We're going to get into all of that in a second. But it's these flashy synergy moves that are getting me. They're like Guilty Gear good, and everything is interchangeable on that animation depending on what you're riding at the time or who's in your party. It's kind of amazing. Yep. I'm also getting to see some older familiar faces from the series. There's a real head turner coming up in a second. It's almost like a reunion in places for some of the older creatures. And seeing them all animated really well, I like the cel-shaded art look and the flashiness. All of their moves look just as good as yours. Pulls you in. As you can tell, I really struggled to walk away from this game. I got completely enveloped because I knew what was behind a lot of these mechanics, what was coming up, how cool those synergy moves were going to look, and what monster I was going to potentially get to ride, including the weapons. We need to have to chat about the weapons. So Charge Blade mains, Insect Glaive users, the Holy Baguette as we call it, you might want to sit down for this one. There's only 6 weapons in the game. Thank the gods they left the gun lance in though. So Hunting Horn, Hammer, Sword and Shield, Great Sword, the Bow, which is actually quite interesting, and that's your lot, yeah. Someone in your party can lose all their health twice. You share those 3 lives, a bit like karting in the other games. Your NPC player has their own set of 3, so there is a division there. The vitality drink that you would have in the other games actually replaces one of those hearts, so they're quite a rarity, but you still have the heal potions. You are still looking for herbs in that quite detailed and richly littered map. It is worth your time looking around, and that's another thing. Zenny is scarce. Zenny's too tight to mention. You have to flog loads of stuff to be able to afford some of the decent weapons in early game if you just want to start kicking ass fast, basically. Can we talk about this story? Okay, I suppose so.
レドは私たちのリーダーだった人。この子はレドの孫よ。え？レドはだいぶ前に亡くなったわ。
知ってる。私、レウスに会いに来たの。レドから預かったものもあったから。
I think I know what's going on. You don't, Coop. There's quite a lot of backstory involved with your main character, but there is like a strange viral miasmic thing taking over the monsters, which is a bit similar to 4, I seem to remember, but I am not getting into this game for its philosophic prose. I want to ride a badass monster with my gun lance and kick ass like a jolly green giant walking all over the map. M-I-C-K-Y-M-U-S-E. Mickey Mouse.
あんたなの。守りレウスの巣に現れるなんて。
Let's have a conversation about the game's vibe, as the kids say. Absolutely nailed it. I love the little villages. It's got its unique soundtrack and theme. And of course, you're familiar with all of these outlets. Upgrading, but it's the egg hatching I got to. A little bit late because I was too busy leveling my current mount, but they all level as long as they're hatched out and you've got them on your roster. That is coming up. Let's talk about this combat meta quickly, how the build move works and how they've integrated a lot of the weapons' individual assets into this turn-based system. Yes, and here's our boy from Monster Hunter 3. Haven't seen him since, I don't think. He was a spike in that game, I can tell you. Nightmare fuel, to be honest. And I wasn't ready how cool this synergy move is. Explosion. I couldn't have come up with a better pun myself. So every move builds up a meter that's unique to that weapon, and then you get access to skills which are retrospective to how much you've built your meter. You can hold off and come out with something massive. You have elemental arrows with the bow, and you can discharge loads of bullets from the gun lance. Everything has its unique angle, both visually and mechanically. This also goes for the guest NPC you've got on board at the time within the campaign. They will bring along their mount, which is normally something pretty formidable and awesome looking. You also get the chance to synergize both your mounts in a singular attack. Once you've established a bit of arse kickery, you get the option to ride on your monster, which also makes you slightly more impervious to damage, and you deal a signature move that's attached to that particular mount. Okay, let's talk eggs. They're relatively easy to gather. You find them in dens and nests, which is awesome, and you forage for them, and it's kind of an RNG on the different strengths and types of monster that you'll get. They are ridiculously adorable in this infant form, but they quickly reach adulthood. This is not an Ark survival situation. 16 weeks and a Megalodon eyeball. And then you can either add them or release them because you don't have that many slots to keep the monsters in the stables. It's blatantly a massive section of the game. It's almost a gotta catch them all element, and I love that Capcom have not put in any of this accelerator, get a rare egg if you spend some of this microtransactional money. It is all embedded into the exploration and progression that you find in that main campaign. All puns intended. You can't put a price on that nowadays, and it's so great that some studios refuse to ruin stuff like this with external paid for egg accelerators. Oh! You will cut, you will die, and I like that idea that it's not patronisingly easy. A lot of the buffs and poison stuff cannot be put on the whole group just yet with most of my items, so that one's quite difficult. You do have to pay attention to people what are poisoned and that. This freaking fever dream.
期待して。結果はいかに。小吉ついてない。
There is an offering system, a little bit like Nier 3, where you can increase some of your variables on gathering that sort of thing, or get an out-and-out fortune cookie price. It's Royal Ludroth, bros. Even his additionals are difficult to take on board. I had 2 of them kill me. If that happened to you in the main game, in the ARPG, the traditional format, people would be ashamed of you to come into their online lobbies. That's enough about my current reputation in the Gathering Hub. And we did just see a elemental battle with the stick being used as the QTE. It's not always slam that circle button. There's something well cool coming up towards the end of the video which involves dogfighting with your 2 mounts. Man, what is not to like with this video game? Well, I'm glad you asked, because there is a couple of things. Along with that massively reduced weapon roster, there is an issue with NPCs delivering healing. They will duplicate it. Some of that might be my fault. You might have to assume that they will always give something that's about to die a potion, but I never see it as a guarantee, and they end up doing it anyway. Oh yes, Toadzilla, another old school name that looks spectacular in engine in this game. It's funny, it's not that funny, but the Rise game has also come on to Extra. Monster Hunter Rise has a very solid place in my heart, and it incorporates riding monsters within its gameplay model. I will link to the couple of videos I produced about that, because in places I much prefer it to Wilds, which is the brand new massive AAA Monster Hunter release. I want to mention that this is still a PS4 game. There may well be backwards compatibility with its performance when you're out and about and fighting stuff, but there is some load screens. Some of them are up to 6 seconds long. I know that sounds like SSD snobbery, but I'd love to see this put on the 9th gen system properly. Rise got a beautiful version. I have clean forgot to mention that you can target a monster part, and we're now also looking at the weird gene splicing mechanic where you can dovetail 2 monsters into each other and get added attributes. That whole meta is something I've yet to get my head around. I very much like this game, and I feel it does the series proud, and I want to see more of it. The thumbnail's a goddamn Rathalos mount that's flying, so I've got all of that to look forward to. Plus, fighting some of the iconic names from the series in this turn-based system is going to be epic. I also think this would be incredible on a Switch too, or Steam Deck, right? It's so easy to walk away from turn-based games, come back to them. It's something you can get on with, be interrupted, doesn't really matter. You're not locked in too much. I'd love some feedback on its performance if you've played this game on those aforementioned portables. Freaking flying QTE, bros. I did put a very large amount of hours into Wilds and got 2 larger videos out about the game. I will also link to those. But Rise being on Extra as well is a massive added bonus. Give me a shout if you're going to look at both of them. I was, of course, Couch Coop. Check out this cutscene. I will see you down there. What was that?